We want to thank our witnesses for being here this morning. Some of you came a long way, and we really appreciate your time. Today is our committee's first hearing regarding the Biden administration's use of the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, or the FACE Act, as we call it. Since this Dobbs decision was leaked over a year ago now, there have been more than 100 attacks on pregnancy resource centers and churches across America, more than 100. And these attacks have included fire bombings and vandalism that includes phrases written in graffiti like, quote, "If abortions aren't safe, neither are you." It included smashing of windows, targeted online harassment, protesters threatening violence outside pregnancy resource centers and churches, and many other acts. Federal law obviously prohibits all of this conduct. The FACE Act states that, quote, "threats of force, obstruction, and property damage intended to interfere with pregnancy resource centers are illegal." It also states that force or threat of force to intentionally injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person lawfully exercising or seeking to exercise the First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of religious worship is prohibited. However, here's the problem. The Biden administration has rarely enforced the statute to protect these organizations that are covered. For example, on June 7th, 2022, last summer, vandals associated with a group called Jane's Revenge firebombed the Compass Care Pregnancy Services in Buffalo, New York. $500,000 in damages were done to that facility. And to this moment, the FBI has done nothing to bring charges in the Compass Care case. That's just one example among many. The Justice Department to date has brought only 4 indictments against pro-abortion activists, all of which were related to a single Jane's Revenge attack in Florida. 4 indictments. Just 4 indictments are not even a drop in the bucket when you compare to the hundreds of attacks that have occurred against pro-life organizations and churches since this law's inception. But here's the worst part, and this is a glaring fact, and it's impossible to overlook. While these radical left-wing groups go unpunished, the Justice Department at the same time has unleashed federal law enforcement on pro-life advocates. Here's just a couple of examples. In October 2022, Eva Edel, an 87-year-old pro-life advocate and survivor of a communist concentration camp, was charged with a FACE Act violation for singing and praying near an abortion clinic. In February, Ms. Edel was again charged under the FACE Act for, quote, standing in front of a door of a Michigan abortion clinic in August 2020. Ms. Edel was confined to a wheelchair at that time. But the Justice Department claimed that the 87-year-old woman was charged because she, quote, intimidated patients and employees. Then there's Mark Houck, who we'll hear from shortly. He'll share his testimony today. His home was raided at dawn by more than 20 FBI agents with guns drawn in front of his wife and 7 young children for an alleged FACE Act violation. Thankfully, despite the FBI's brazen and unwarranted tactics, a 12-person jury unanimously and very quickly acquitted him of those federal charges that were brought against him. The targeting of advocates like Ms. Edel and Mr. Houck, compared to the lack of enforcement against those who attack pregnancy resource centers and churches, is striking. Pregnancy resource centers serve millions of women annually across this country with a multitude of services virtually free of charge. Most of them are nonprofits, of course, and they should be able to operate without fear. They provide care to pregnant women and distribute necessary items like clothing and diapers to mothers. And the women that seek these services should be able to do so, obviously, without facing any danger. Churchgoers should be able to exercise their First Amendment right to religious freedom at places of worship without being terrorized. And unfortunately, this has not been the case under Attorney General Garland's Justice Department. This committee is concerned with the apparent unequal application of the FACE Act by the Biden administration. It is our job to monitor this. The application and enforcement of this act is an important matter of congressional oversight. And this hearing will provide members of our committee and our full committee and the judiciary with the opportunity to re-examine the FACE Act and explore ways that Congress might reform the statute. We believe in justice for all, and the FACE Act should be used to prosecute crimes committed against all entities covered by the law. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses today, and I yield back. I now recognize